Hello guys, and welcome to a new episode of Quiet Loud. This is a newly named channel. It used to be called Mario's channel. If you're in the market for a small, compact Android phone, you have probably got 2 or 3 options altogether, because nowadays manufacturers have moved onto gigantic phones. So you'll probably come across these 2 bad boys right here. This is the Sony 5 Mark V, also known as the Sony V. And this one right here is called the Asus Zenfone 9. Now, the Zenfone 9 and the Zenfone 10 are very similar, and I have made a separate video about those. And at the moment, I've got the Zenfone 9 with me. But this review will be regarding the Zenfone 9/10 because they are very, very similar. So let's talk about the differences between these 2 phones, starting by the dimensions. Now, even though these 2 phones are very compact, they are quite different. As you can see, the aspect ratio, you have to pay attention to the aspect ratio. The aspect ratio for the Sony V is very tall and narrow. I think it's called 29:19, and the aspect ratio for the Zenfone 9 is the very normal phone that you find everyone in the market and is following the normal standards. So the Sony will be the one out of everything else. It will be the different one, the one that stands out. So this has got a very long and narrow grip. So if you're into that sort of thing, this phone might be for you. But if you're into the more wider type of phone, this Zenfone might be for you. So this point by itself, it could be a determining factor in deciding which phone that you're going for. Now, moving on to the next one, it's the battery life. I find that the battery life of these 2 phones are amazing. One of the best batteries I've ever seen in a mobile phone. And they're actually rated very highly. If you ever type in on Google battery list or Androids with the longest batteries, these 2 phones will probably make the top 10 phones. They have very long batteries that last very long. This Sony 5 Mark V has a battery of 5000 milliamp, and the Asus Zenfone has a 4300 milliamp battery. Now you might think, okay, this is an easy one. I'm going to go for the Sony because it's got a bigger battery, a bigger capacity. However, you'll be a little bit making a misjudgment, because even though the Sony has a bigger battery, the Zenfone has a smaller compact screen, and overall, when it comes to performance, you might find that the Zenfone might last a little bit longer than the Sony, even though they are, I think, head to head, and they are very equal. And to be honest with you, I have never done a battery comparison between the 2, but both of them can last for at least 2 days easily. If they are on standby, they can even last for 2 days. If they are on standby, they can even last for 3 days. I have never seen any phone that does that in the Android market, but these 2 phones managed to succeed. Unbelievable. Now, if you're looking for a headphone jack, both of these devices have it. Believe it or not, in 2024, 2 phones managed to still keep the headphone jack. Now, you might not need it at all in your lifetime. You might have a USB type headphone, you might have a Bluetooth type one, but if you were to use it, it's there, there is no harm in having a headphone jack present, just in case you might need it one day. But if you're not into headphone jacks and you've already invested in a USB type C headphone or a Bluetooth type headphone, then this really is not a big point for you. The other thing that I want to talk about is the refresh rate. Now, I think the human eye, there is an upper limit that I cannot see any more than that. So if you have a refresh rate of, let's say, 60 Hertz, yes, your eye will be able to detect that there is a bit of a lag. If you go up to about 120 Hertz, it is so smooth that your eye does not even notice anything higher than that. So if you have 2 phones, one of them is 120 and one of them is 144 Hertz, like these 2 phones right here, I think you won't be able to notice the difference unless you're really paying attention, and you are actually paying attention to the hertz and you're looking at it very carefully just to be able to make out those hertz. But other than that, any other human being, if you presented them with these 2 phones, I'll tell them which one is the higher hertz, they won't be able to notice it. In my opinion, and this is something very minute and minor, when you have a notification such as this one right here. Now, if you look at my WhatsApp here, you will be able to notice that there is a number 1 written. Sorry about that, I've got a filter there. So there is number 1 indicating that there is 1 notification. Now, for some reason, when you have an email, it does not count how many emails you have. Instead, you have a dot. I don't know if you can see that. So WhatsApp has a 1, email underneath it, Gmail has a dot. Now, this is very confusing. I don't like that. I like that if I have an email, I wanted to show how many emails I have. If I have a WhatsApp, I want to show how many emails I have. So this is what the Zenfone does. It shows every notification, the number of notifications. On the Sony, some of them are dots, some of them are numbers, very confusing. If I had to look quickly, I want to see how many emails I have, it only shows a dot. On the Zenfone, it shows how many actual numbers of emails. On top here, you'll be able to see that it's got 12 notifications. If you look at the email on this one here, you'll find there is a dot. Obviously, I've removed it now, but there will be a dot. This is something very minor, but I find it to be quite frustrating. I don't know why. It's just maybe something that they could upgrade when they make a new update, but this is just one of those things. The other thing is obviously the screen resolution. I believe that the Sony's screen resolution is not as good as this screen resolution on the Zenfone here. I found it's a little bit grainy. I don't like it as much. I tried to put a protector on there, but it's so badly, it reflects the lights, it's very dazzling, I had to remove it. But when I placed a protector screen on this one, there was no problem whatsoever. So even though the Sony is probably on paper very similar in specs, but I do have to say that the Sony is quite grainy and I don't think it's very smooth, to be honest, but it's still very good. It's a very good phone with a very good display resolution, but if I had to compare these two, I'll probably go for the Zenfone, the Asus. Now, the other thing is you might notice is these thick bars on the side. Even though this is a thin phone, these bars are even thinner. Look at those thick bezels all over. You are having a very small screen to work with. Most of it is covered with these thick bezels. Now, on the other hand here, if we look at the Asus, most of the screen is actual screen. There is no bezels anywhere. So this is one of those things that you have to pay attention to. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video of both of these, and they are at the same resolution. So I'm filming at 4K, and let's see the difference. So I've got now the video. I've got it here on 4K 30, and I have the same thing here. I've got this video on 4K 30. So these two videos are exactly the same. They're filming from the front camera. So let me take a small video and I'll show it to you. And you tell me which one do you prefer the most. So here we go. Let's start together. Let's do it actually side by side. So at least we can put them side by side. Here we go. 4K, 4K. Start. So hello guys, this is a test of these two cameras here. So hello guys, this is a test of these two cameras here. I've got the Sony on this right hand side, and I've got the Zenfone 9 on the left side. They are exactly the same settings, and these are all natural colors. They have not been altered in any way, and there is no any contrast adjustment. This is straight out of the phone. Both of these lenses have been cleaned, so they should be looking at roughly the same thing. Sorry about the sun, but I want to show you in different atmospheres how it looks like. So here we go. This is what it looks like, 4K, and now we are looking at the sound quality as well. So this is also the sound quality of these two phones. What do you think? Which one do you prefer the most? Now we're going to do the same test but opposite side. We are going to turn the camera around, and now we're filming with the main camera, both of them again at 4K 30 frames per second. So here we go, a screenshot outside. This is the view from the outside. This is the Zenfone, and this is the Sony. So this is my room here. Can you see any difference? Can you see any difference here? Let's have a look around. So they're both filming the same thing. Let's have a look at these colors. Which one do you prefer the most? Let's go back again outside. Let's have a look and see which one is doing a better job. Which one is doing a better job? The Sony or the Asus? Please let me know. And there is a bit of zoom, but it's not as good, so I wouldn't even bother putting it on. It's not that good. So that's the zoom as well. This is the view from the outside. This is the Zenfone, and this is the Sony. So this is my room here. Can you see any difference? Can you see any difference here? Let's have a look around. So they're both filming the same thing. Let's have a look at these colors. Which one do you prefer the most? Let's go back again outside. Let's have a look and see which one is doing a better job. Which one is doing a better job? The Sony or the Asus? Please let me know. And there is a bit of zoom, but it's not as good, so I wouldn't even bother putting it on. It's not that good. So that's the zoom as well. So guys, that was a little comparison. You let me know which phone do you prefer the most. I believe if I had to choose between these two, it's going to be a tie for me. Any of these two phones is very good, and I would be happy with either of them. I have to also mention one thing out of honesty, and obviously this could be just because of my SIM card, or it could be just because I'm in the UK, or it could be just I'm in a certain region in the UK, but I find that the Sony loses connection a little bit more than the Asus. So sometimes I'll be in an area where there's a very weak connection. The Sony will definitely cut out. There is no more network. I cannot connect to anywhere on the internet. I cannot load any web page. But the Asus Zenfone will keep going. Sometimes a bit patchy, obviously, because I'm in an area with a very slow connection, but it's still workable. You can still do something with it. With the Sony, there is no connection. Even if you try to pay, using Google Pay, for example, it will disconnect. It will say error. So it has put me in a few difficult situations, the Sony, but with the Asus, you just go like that, tap, and it worked immediately. So I hope you like this video, and thank you very much for joining in. If you like this type of content and if you want to join my channel, please do. The name of the channel is very newly named Quite Loud. I hope you like it. See you in the next episode, and peace.